Okay.
And now we have Reverend Brendalyn Batchelor with you. We are all yours, Brendalyn.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jeremiah. Okay, so how would you like to have techniques in your spiritual toolkit that make life easier and increase your happiness? Anybody sign up for that? Yeah, I'm signed up. All right. Well, so the human condition is that a lot of people aren't aware that there is an antidote for anxiety, stagnation, negativity, and being on autopilot. There's something else that can happen when we are mindful enough to realize that we're feeling anxious or any other negative emotion, when we're feeling like we're stuck in a rut and that nothing's moving, whenever we're experiencing negativity, and that when we're on autopilot, we can make that a meditative experience. It's pretty cool. And that spiritual solution to that human condition is these mindfulness meditation techniques that transform anxiety to rest, stagnation to flow, negativity to positivity, and autopilot to productive spontaneity. So why would you want to do that? Well, when we're able to, I'll go one at a time, when we feel flow, we have an opportunity to experience the flow of life in us, in our bodies, and around us. We literally get into the flow. When we're able to activate pleasant emotional body sensations whenever and wherever we desire, we can feel good. When we're feeling anxious or unsettled, we can feel rest. And we can mindfully and productively use autopilot to experience more spontaneity and effortlessness. So let's start with rest. What is rest? Well, rest is the relative absence of sensory experience in any of those categories of see, hear, feel. And those of you who are going to the class and maybe were here last week had an opportunity to experience see rest, hear rest, and feel rest. So focusing on rest is when we pay attention to where in our body we notice less activation happening. And we draw our attention to that space or location where rest is happening, instead of focusing actively on what we're seeing, hearing, or feeling. Now, we're going to focus today on feel rest, and that means finding or creating rest and relaxation physically and emotionally. So I'm sure you can think of times in your life then it would be helpful to be able to do that, to be able to find rest or create rest or relaxation in your body or in your emotions. And so we can do this in a number of different ways. We can either notice where it's already existing, or we can activate it. And we can do it by physically, by intentionally relaxing the body. Some of you may have had those experiences where you tighten up the muscle group and then you relax it. You can just focus on the exhalation of the breath. So take a moment right now. When on the inhale, there's one sensation, but on the exhale, there's a feeling of rest generally. And you can just find and focus on an area of the body that is relaxed. Sometimes if you can't find it anywhere else, check out your earlobe. Your earlobe's probably not real nervous or activated. So we do this because we can experience more relaxation and peace in our life. And we can use feel rest as a formal on the cushion practice or a formal, 10 minutes means formal practice, 10 minutes or more. And we can do that in motion or on the cushion. We can take a feel rest break for just a few seconds when we're at work or out in the community, at home, at a family gathering, wherever we might have an opportunity to feel rest. Or we can use it as background practice in a stressful conversation, a stressful situation. We can use feel rest to bring equanimity to physical pain or other discomfort. We can use it to bring equanimity to emotional upset. So it is a very handy tool to have. Personally, I remember when I was first learning this, the place where I practiced feel rest as a background practice quite often was when I was still serving as a senior minister at Unity Santa Fe, and we would have staff meetings, finance meetings, staff meetings, stuff going on all the time that has to be dealt with. And I would feel myself, feeling agitated or nervous, anxious, and I would just begin to feel rest, by either noticing it on my exhale or finding the tension in my body and bringing rest to it. I'm also do this a lot to induce equanimity. If I'm feeling pain, physical pain, or other physical symptoms that are unpleasant. When I mentioned, I think last week about allergy symptoms and bringing equanimity to those allergy symptoms by feeling rest in my body, getting my focus off the symptoms and into feeling rest. So I'm sure you can all know of times when it would be helpful for you to be able to feel rest. And one of the great things is that, in Unified Mindfulness, the 3 skills that we're working on all the time is concentration, sensory clarity, and equanimity. So when we're focusing on rest, we're building our concentration. When we're teasing out the restful quality of our experience, we're strengthening our sensory clarity. And as I mentioned in some of my personal experience, contacting rest can help induce equanimity with pain, with other symptoms, and in situations. So I want you to have a few moments to try out the feel rest technique. So first of all, realize that rest is always available in the body and mind. We just have to become mindful of it. And you can find it naturally just by finding it somewhere in your body, or you can create it by releasing tension. So when you find it or create it, take a few seconds to really experience it and do it again. So if no other way works, just focus on the exhalation of your breath. And just do that for a few moments. And you may notice that as your body feels rest, your emotions quiet down and you experience emotional peace as well as physical rest and relaxation. And you can just allow yourself to explore rest by moving your attention from place to place or just settling in on one location or one aspect like the exhale. And just keep your attention there or free float. You might even find yourself able to evenly cover your entire body and contact global rest. And when you notice rest, just focus on it for a few moments. You could even label it rest, if that helps you stay focused. Okay, so you can just keep that rest as background practice while we continue on, and go from rest to feeling flow. So flow is any change in sensory experience, whether it's visual, auditory, or somatic. So, and it's not a special type of experience, rather, it's something that, again, is always there, that we may or may not be aware of. We may not be mindful of it, but it's always there. So when we feel flow, that means we are aware of the flowing aspect of some sensory experience in the body. So you may find flow in the body, even like this. You know, if you're looking at the screen, you're seeing flow because my hands are moving. That would be an example of flow. You might notice it in your body in terms of the flow of your inhale and exhale of the breath. Although it's really subtle, you might even be able to tap into the flow of your pulse or heartbeat. That's movement. Anything that is moving is flow. So flow is always present in every cell and atom of the body, but usually we don't notice it. But it becomes a mindful meditation practice when we bring our attention to it, when we concentrate on it. We are being mindful. One of the most fun ways of feeling flow that I first learned was by rubbing my palms together, really rubbing them rapidly together, and then holding them up and closing my eyes and being aware that I have hands, even though I can't see them, because there's a sensation. I hope you can feel that sensation that tells you that you have hands, even though you can't see them. That flow, that sensation, everyone experiences it differently. It may be a tingling or just a pulsing. And when you really focus on flow, you can move that and you can find it everywhere in your body. It's in your big toe right now. You know, it's in every cell and atom of your body. So that can be an object of meditation, to find the sensations in your body. People often love this technique so much that they don't want to practice any other technique, because you can lose yourself in it. You can be, and it happens automatically, sort of in life, when you're so immersed in an activity that you lose track of time. It happens to me, I like to think of when I'm lying in my hammock. I have a hammock that I carry with me in my camper. And I allow myself to feel rest, right, first. And then I just feel the gentle rocking of the hammock. Even if I'm not rocking it, there's this light breeze, and I can feel the breeze flowing over me. I can feel the inner flow that's caused by any outer movement even. So feel flow can be energizing, it can be rejuvenating and deeply pleasant. And it helps release tension, physical and emotional pain, and you can just really experience it with things that are pleasant or not. If you have pain, there's a flow in terms of maybe the pulsing of the pain. or allergy symptoms. You know, I feel the allergy, the itching, the itchy roof of the mouth, the burning eyes, all of that is also, there's the flow if I really focus on it. Even the inner ear ringing that I have, if I really listen to it, it's not a steady thing. There's a movement to it, if you will. And flow is actually an experience of transcendence. You know, we can experience transcendence intellectually in our spiritual practice. We know that this too shall pass when we're in a difficult situation, but it becomes profound and more perceptual than intellectual when we can realize in any given moment, this too is passing. Nothing is here to stay. There is movement, there is flow. If you were looking at a candle, it is constantly coming off and on. It's going out and coming on, but it happens so fast that we can't see it. So I think that feel flow is the gift that keeps on giving, because it decreases my resistance to whatever's going on, and it gets more and more pleasant. And the more pleasant it is, the more I want to practice it. So I call it the gift that keeps on giving. It increases our concentration because we have to put our attention on that experience of flow. As we track the changes that are happening in the experience, it increases our sensory clarity. And then when we can use that flow to again induce equanimity and really know that things are passing, they're not here to stay. So I wanted to give you a moment to experience flow. So just remember, it's any experience of movement that you can detect physically or emotionally. You can rub your hands together again if you want, do whatever, and just experience the sensation and movement of flow in your body, or like I feel the fan. I brought the fan into the sanctuary today, and I can feel the flow of the fan, the breeze created by it. So just feel flow in your body or on your body, caused by a breeze. So now you have a technique called feel flow that you can use both on or off the cushion to experience what you normally wouldn't notice about sensations in the body. So now the next one, when I say that this next part is really going to be fun, a fun part of today's service, notice any feelings that that idea brings up for you. Notice where you may be feeling that anticipation of fun. Maybe it's a smile. Maybe it's a smile on your face at the very thought of having fun. I remember this youngster at Unity Santa Fe in our youth program, and we took the kids to a water park and aquarium, and they had a lot of fun. And on the way home, one of the little boys, he was about 6 years old, he said, "Boy, that's the most fun I've ever had at church." And I told him I thought it was probably the most fun I'd ever had at church too. So just notice that idea of fun. So feel good is what we're working on now, and it's related to feel in, because the focus is on the emotions. But instead of appreciating your emotional state just as it is, you are actively creating pleasant emotional body sensations to focus on. And you can do this many ways. You can use thoughts, thinking a positive, uplifting thought, listening to uplifting music. You can do whatever it takes to bring yourself to a feeling of joy, enthusiasm, love, gratitude, friendliness, whatever. So feel good is intentionally cultivating positivity. So it might include your emotions such as joy, friendliness, enthusiasm, compassion, love, and gratitude. It might be about positive behavior, eliminating old unhelpful behaviors and initiating new desired behaviors. It might be intentionally creating and holding rational, productive, encouraging, or supporting thought. It might be thinking of somebody you admire and emulating them, thinking of what it would be like if you could emulate them. Or it might be imagining and focusing on desired outcomes. You have a goal and how you will feel when that goal's accomplished. So when we use the tool of feel good, we can transcend challenges. So we're applying our concentration, our sensory clarity, our equanimity to our experience. And that is a measure of spiritual maturity, because it's easier to be a good person when we feel good. And so we can experience happiness independent of conditions. And that doesn't mean we take a spiritual bypass, but there are times when we may have a challenge going on and it's not appropriate in the setting we're in to express our sadness or fear or whatever. So we can use feel good to temporarily bypass until we can get to a safe place where we can have our feelings. And I always encourage people to don't fake it when you have a negative feeling, unless you're in a setting where it's inappropriate. But at some point, it's important to process that feeling. And the more time we can spend feeling positive, the more intense we will feel our positive emotions. So when we can cultivate feel good, it'll improve our thoughts, our relationships, the way we feel throughout the day. It can be an emotional home base to come back to when we're feeling otherwise. So once you experience feel good, you may then be able to find that sensation in the body until it spreads over your whole body. And again, you've got global feel good, and it can even radiate beyond your body, and you can bless the world because you're radiating out this positivity. So the thing to watch out for is that feel good can seem inauthentic at times, because if you're feeling sad and you have a need for self-care and you're in the right setting to do it, don't try to feel good and spiritually bypass what you need to feel and acknowledge. So just if you're in a situation where you need to just feel rest instead of feel good. Be present to the situation. Bring equanimity to the situation through feel rest instead of bypassing it with feel good. So feel good again strengthens your concentration because you're focusing on the positive emotions you're generating and you keep returning your attention to them. It increases your sensory clarity because you're having to notice where the emotions are located, their quality, how they're changing, how they may be affected by other emotions and other senses. And your equanimity is cultivated so you can use positive emotions to make a shift and be able to see a situation and carry yourself through a situation with that equanimity. Now, there's a number of ways you can experience feel good. So I'm going to give you some of them you can try out real quick. One of them is to smile. Just smile. Now, as you smile, be aware, maybe even if you have to close your eyes, and realize where you're feeling that smile. Because it's not just on your lips, it's probably your entire face. And if you really follow it, it's permeating every cell and atom of your body. It's a great healing salve, if you will. It's a healing energy to just smile. Another way you can feel good is to think of a positive thought or affirmation. I can remember when I first quit my really good paying job to become the minister at Unity Santa Fe, and on a very full-time, on a very part-time salary. And I would just say, this is an abundant universe and there's more than enough for me. God is my source, my consciousness of God is my supply. And I would feel good. That would make me feel better. Okay? You can activate it. Some people can just feel good. I have that gift. I am able to just automatically feel good if I want to. And I'll give you an example. One Sunday, we were having a lot of technical issues before the service, and I was stressed out. And so I went to the restroom, and on my way back, I thought, oh my God, I am so stressed. I can't give the Sunday message this, and run the service feeling like this. So I immediately decided to feel good. And I felt good, and I went in and I did my message, and I was in a good space. And, I totally left all that negativity behind. So when you feel good, when you're practicing feel good, especially on the cushion, you would bring your focus to, a smile, do whatever it takes to feel good. And then as that feeling good begins to fade, it's sort of like the ring striking a bell. As it starts to fade, imagine you're just striking the bell again and reactivate that feel good. And just focus on the feeling wherever it is in the body, throughout the body. And as it fades, strike the bell again. In other words, reactivate that feel good. And when you get really good at this, you can allow it to spread over the whole body, throughout the body, and you can use it as a loving kindness practice to radiate it to all creation. All right, so you're up with feel rest, feel flow, and feel good. Now there's something called auto move, and I'm going to do this real briefly because it lends itself better to actual movement. But I just want you to know that we are automatically moving all the time. Sometimes we call it autopilot. We get in the car, we just drive. But actually, there's a lot of stuff happening in order to drive that car. When we're walking, we don't think about where am I going to put the next step or whatever. We just walk. So auto move takes us from doing these things that are just autopilot and making them a meditative practice by really observing what's happening. Just really being present to each step of the process. And sometimes what helps for me is when I'm doing auto walk, I just ask myself, wow, who is walking me? What is walking me? So I'm not doing anything that I don't ordinarily do. I'm being mindful of what I'm doing. And that makes it a meditative practice. So this is something that you can take to washing dishes, to walking, to driving the car, whatever, to become mindfully present in the moment. That's a meditative practice, an active meditative practice. You don't do auto move on the cushion. It's definitely an off the cushion. And it can be used anywhere in daily life. So I'm just going to give you an experience real quick. So if you're sitting down, whatever you're doing, I want you to look to your right. Okay. Did you notice how your head and body automatically moved to follow your eyes? I mean, you didn't have to tell your head to move. If I said stretch your arms, you just start stretching your arms. You wouldn't have to think about it. Your body would just do it. You could even take a moment to use your imagination to think about auto move in daily life. So imagine, for instance, you're getting in your car to go somewhere. Well, as you get into the car, you probably automatically adjust the seat if it needs to be adjusted. You adjust the mirror if it needs to be adjusted. You put the key in the ignition, you put the car in gear, you check the mirror. You're doing all of this automatically because your body muscle memory is happening. But again, when you pay attention to it and become present to it, it becomes a mindful meditation practice. So, how do we do this? How do we put feet on today's message? Well, by practicing these techniques. Feel rest, feel flow, feel good, and auto. And we're going to experientially go into this more deeply at the Wednesday night class. So at 5 to 6:30, if you want to dive deeper, show up either here in the sanctuary or on Zoom. And so I celebrate. Right now, Paloma's auto barking in the residence. So I celebrate that as a result of today's message. You and I have the wisdom to practice being mindfully present and bringing rest to the body, feeling the flow in the body, feeling good, and auto moving. And let's do that right now in a sacred time of shared prayer. So I invite you to just take a moment to straighten up to Father Sky and settle in to Mother Earth. And just relax your shoulders and jaw as we settle in to again practice feel rest, feel flow, and auto move. Having had a taste of these techniques during the message, I invite you to again experience them as I guide you one at a time. So take a moment to feel rest in any way of your choice, or by simply noticing the rest with each exhale as you breathe at your own pace for a minute. And now I invite you to feel flow. Maybe you want to rub your hands together again. And with your eyes closed, hold them up. And be aware of the sensations that let you know you have hands. That flow of life. I think it's the presence of God. I think of that as practicing the presence of God when I can feel the very life God is moving in me, through me, as me. And now let's shift to feel good. Feel good in any way you choose, or by simply allowing a smile to come to your face. Noticing the positive feelings and reigniting it when it fades. And then a moment of auto move by just allowing your body to gently move in any way it wants. Not telling it what to do, just letting it move automatically. And as we gently bring our attention back to this time and place, silently say, thank you. I am that I am, for the wisdom to practice being mindfully at rest, feeling flow, feeling good, and auto move, formally and informally, on or off the cushion. Thank you. I am that I am. That it is so, and so it is. Amen. So now I invite you to bless together our offering.